Hello there.
Hey.
I like how you said we will be talking about whatever. You're like whatever.
Whatever, right? I didn't even know I said that out loud.
Yeah. What did you think you said it in here?
Yeah, really. I thought I said it in here. But yeah, we'll talk about whatever. I'm slow.
Whatever.
At this hour, I'm so slow.
Mm,
Like my system is slow.
mm,
You know how they say at lunchtime, you have to take a lunch break
mm,
at noon, like around 12 o'clock, like everywhere in the world, they take break at that time and then they eat.
mm-hmm.
We're not supposed to be tired at that hour, in my opinion. And everybody gets tired at that hour.
Mm-hmm. So why
So
do you feel so slow at that hour?
I think it's just something that is a conditioning.
Mm,
All my life, I went on lunch break, at around 12 o'clock. And
mm-hmm.
then we would eat at 12 o'clock, right? Or do whatever. Everybody eat at that hour. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, I always get slow. Even though I don't eat at the same hour now, I get
Right.
slow at that moment. It just became a habit. So I don't like it.
Okay. Okay. So but getting slow, like slowing down at that hour, you feel is a habit.
It's a habit.
Okay. Okay.
It's a habit. I follow the birds. So the birds are very active at this hour.
Mm.
They are actually very active at this hour. And then they go to bed. Like they rest maybe around 3.
I saw three little birds. They were on Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. You
You
know what
caught
type
them.
of bird it was, right? You know what type of bird, right?
What type of bird was that?
Pigeon.
The pigeons. The
It's
pigeons.
only pigeon on KFC. You would never see other birds landing on there.
The pigeons.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
The
You
pigeons.
know,
Go ahead.
one of my friends, Nabiha, they told me that, and I never knew this, but she's really into Nikola Tesla. She really gets into his life and his inventions and his inspiration from isolation and his being a bachelor lifelong and his, relationship with himself and that whole dynamic. And
Hmm.
she told me that actually Nikola Tesla had quite the relationship with pigeons.
Hmm.
With pigeons. Like he made a very like strong bond with pigeons. He talked to pigeons. He felt like they were talking to him. And there
Hmm.
was there was one particular pigeon that he was very fond of. That he
Hmm.
almost you could say like he had a relationship with this one particular pigeon. And yeah, I found that interesting.
I
Yeah.
I I can actually relate to that. I
Yeah.
have I have a relationship with my hummingbirds. You
Mm.
know, I've never seen a hummingbird in my entire life until I came to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And one day actually I was sipping on my juice or sitting outside, and
Mm-hmm.
then it looks like a big fly. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, that's a hummingbird. You never seen a hummingbird? I'm like, no. And then
Mm.
I got so fascinated about them. And then ever since they follow me, I have a lot of hummingbirds around here. And they actually do have a relationship with me because they come inside my house and they go outside of my house. So I feel like, birds, any animal actually you can have a relationship with. But pigeon, that was very interesting. I have a relationship with crows.
Crows, really?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
actually had that since I was a kid,
Okay.
if I
Okay.
think
How
about
was
it.
that? How was that different from the hummingbird?
The hummingbird, I feel like it's more like of my energy. I resonate that with my own energy. I sometimes say I'm like a hummingbird because I don't eat, I drink. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't resonate with the solids. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm like a hummingbird.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to the crows, I feel like they are more like a protection. They've
Mm.
always been there as a protection for me somehow. Even though society have told us that they associated with witches and dark magic and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. They were
Mm-hmm.
they were always there.
Oh my goodness. Camilla, I have a question for you about crows.
Okay.
Okay. So years ago, one of my friends that I was working with at a telemarketing brokerage at a real estate brokerage, he told me this story about when he knew somebody who was in this house and they were alone in this house, just in a neighborhood, just kind of on their lonesome. But one day they walked outside and Camilla, they looked down and they saw a crow, but it was like a baby crow, almost like a crow that either was just too weak on its own, and then they held it, they took it, and they brought it inside their house. And over time, they kind of nursed it back to health somehow, and got it back to good standing. But then when they went outside,
Mm-hmm. I'm excited now.
when they went back outside,
Yeah.
every post, every like surrounding house, every telephone wire, like every branch of every tree, like everywhere was completely filled with crows.
Whoa.
And they were all like looking down on his house.
Wow.
Like all these crows, like hundreds of crows were just on his house, like focused, looking at his house, and they stayed there. And it wasn't until he released this crow that he had been back to health that they flew away.
Wow. They are very protective. And I've heard that they have like a photographic memory. So the crows that are right here, when I'm at the store, they can remember my face.
Wow.
They literally remember your face.
How do you tell?
Maybe I'm crazy, but sometimes I just know. It's the same bird as the one that was in my house, because I take like a walk. I walk around my area here.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I can actually feel the crows over there, that it's the same one that's in my house. I feed them every day, so I know them. But what I like about them is like I didn't actually know. But so many times in my life, like when I was a kid, every time I get in trouble, every time I feel like, I'm suppressed, I used to always turn to the crows.
Mm.
And it's actually, I'm just mentioning right now. I haven't mentioned it to myself yet. It's just occurring to me right now. Oh my God, like every time I've had some difficulties in life, I will be walking, and instead of talking to myself, I'll be talking to the crows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not that I like them in a way of the way they look or anything. It's just a connection.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're all about telepathy as well. So do you feel like at times when you've been talking to them that they've been talking back to you?
Oh yeah, they talk back.
Okay.
It's just like, it's a sense. You sense it. That's the talking back. It's not like a voice, you hear it. It's just the sensing. Just like every tree and every plant talks to you. Like I have a plant right here, right next to me. I'm serious, like I can't turn around the camera, but I have a plant right here. I don't know if you can see it. She's right here. But she's very emotional. Remember what Jesse told me, that, they are neglected. These plants were neglected. So now when I'm working, I have like a slow music on, and I have it next to me, and it rises. Literally, like depending on what music I put on, it rises up. And it feels like I'm making it happy. It feels like, it has company. And when I leave it alone, it's all like that. Really, it goes down. I don't think she's so happy right now. She's all over the place. But, you talk to them. It's a sense of connection,
Wow. Wow. So what rhythms does it usually rise to?
It likes heat, and it likes piano. Those two things I've noticed.
You said heat?
Heat and piano. So if I put the heater on in the house and it's like hotter, it gets up. If I put it in the sun, it's not supposed to be in a direct sun, but sometimes I just take it out just for it to get some heat, and it rises up as well. And then when I put piano music, it rises up, not the other music.
Wow, only piano music. It has a preference for piano.
Yes, actually, I need to record that when it's doing it.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I will do that. Maybe I will do that today. But yes, it rises. Like, it's just right, like straight, really. Let me show you.
Okay.
See this plant right here?
Yeah.
How it is, yeah. It goes up like that. It goes up like this.
To the
And it's
piano.
so many of them. So it was just like, you know, it's like you could see it moving and then rising up like that, right? Like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is fascinating.
I
That is
know. I used to, I was claiming it to be like genetically modified, but it's not. It's just a neglected plant. But you know, we can communicate with plants. You can communicate with rock. The only thing I cannot communicate is the man-made stuff.
mm, okay. The synthetic stuff.
Yes, plastic, no way.
Okay. Okay. So the way that your plant rises and responds to different rhythms, you know,
Hmm.
how it perks up to the sound of piano, what does that teach you about yourself?
Um, that we are, you know, that we're based on frequencies.
Mm,
You know, so if the plant can actually recognize that and it makes it feel good, you know, there's a certain music that makes me feel the same way, you know, so I need to find that tone. There are some music that society have chosen for us, and there are ones that we choose for ourselves, right? So
mm-hmm.
often we never choose.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Mm-hmm.
choose based on your frequency, you will know you will have a different music type, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You know, like they say, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. You
Yeah,
know, when you,
exactly.
and when you talk about choosing, Camilla, I love that you talked about, you know, what we choose for ourselves. Because you put in a post, you said, we are all chosen. You know, we're all chosen ones. But like, how do you feel like you've been choosing yourself lately?
Hmm. Like I said in that post as well, that, you know, choosing can simply just mean loving yourself correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, choosing yourself mean like, you know, like once you love yourself correctly, you will know your value, you know, and then you will know like, okay, hey, like loving yourself is choosing yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, and everybody wants to be chosen, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Oh, I'm the one, I'm the chosen one. It's fine, you can be the chosen one, you can be the one, and you are, but have you chosen yourself yet? You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
the only time you become the chosen one, when you choose yourself.
Mm-hmm. And you said that's like loving yourself.
It is loving yourself, just loving yourself correctly. You know, a lot of people will say, I love myself, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to die, you know. I love myself. But that's not enough for you to love yourself just because you don't want to die. People
Mm-hmm.
don't want to die because it's unknown, but it's a lot of people that actually want to die. They just don't want to die because it's unknown, you know.
Okay.
Many of us don't want to be here, but you know, you don't want to just go into the unknown yet. But
Okay.
that's not loving yourself. Loving yourself is actually just recognizing yourself. You know, loving yourself just means like looking yourself in the mirror and actually just know like, who am I? You know, most of the time you can look at yourself, but you are what society made. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you are not what you really originally are, but what society have made. So you can look at yourself and be like, oh my God, you know, who am I? You know, dig deep and find yourself. That is like choosing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on yourself, you know. We like to dig in books, we like to dig in different history and everything, you know, to find our truth. You know, it makes no sense. It's like you have to go in, you have to find out who you are and what you are, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
yourself.
So there's ways to love yourself correctly, and you can also love yourself incorrectly, you're saying. You
Hmm.
incorrectly.
But you think you're loving yourself because of you loving yourself in the wrong way. You know, you're loving yourself in a way that you were taught that's what love is, you know. But love just can mean just, I believe actually, if you don't know how to love yourself correctly, there's no way you can love anyone else or anything else.
Mm, man.
There's no way, because you don't even know how to love yourself. How would you, you know, extend that, you know?
Right,
But
right,
once you love yourself, you don't even have to try to love others,
right,
you know? It will
right,
just automatically come out of you because of you radiating that love.
right. So it'd be hard to even extend that love, you know, to the plant or the pigeon, you know.
Yeah, you can't unless you actually turn it this way. And then
Okay,
it goes that way, you know?
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Doesn't it make sense though? Doesn't it make sense?
That makes great sense. You know, it's like, and that's a great point to make about loving ourselves first. It's like, You know, and also, what was it? There was something you said just now, but it was more along the lines, oh, it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
But just about like the way that we love ourselves, it'll come back to me. It was something you said, but man, it was really good. It was really good. A lot of the things you say, they kind of wash over me, and I quickly try to eat them up. You know, they're like little bites. You know, they're like little nuggets, and I try to digest them, and I'm like, oh,
they come back. Whatever that's meant to is come back. You recycle. Everything is in the boomerang.
Oh, this is what it. Okay, I found it. So when people came to you and they said, you know, oh, I love myself. Of course I love myself. You know, I don't want to die. So what they were saying, you're saying, is that they were actually loving themselves out of fear.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Or, you know, if someone say like, you read out of a book on how to love yourself. That's not how to love yourself. It's just like an acceptance of the self. You know, most of the times, you know, we don't see ourselves, we see others.
Right.
Unless we come across a mirror or something, you know, we don't see ourselves. So we see others all the time. So it's easy for us to always look outside, you know, instead of like, okay, if you saw yourself every day, you will consider to love yourself one day. You know, just think about it. If you just met yourself every day, just like you're meeting everybody else, you would think like, oh, this person, you know, Jerome, maybe I should love him, you know, you know, in a correct way. But we don't see ourselves.
Right.
We just, you know, we're outward. We are designed outward, you know. So when you turn your gaze inward, and it's hard to actually gaze inward, you know, it's a process. If you manage that, then you know your value.
Man, that's golden. Could you imagine living in the world when there were no mirrors?
Yeah, water.
Well, yeah, of course, you know, everyone.
Reflection. But mirror, everything is a mirror in a sense. If you think about it, like the people are the mirror, the plants are the mirror, everything is a mirror in a sense. It's just not mirroring the physical body. In a sense, it's not like cloning directly, like another you.
Right.
But everything is a mirror. You're just mirroring, because every information, like me looking at this plant, is coming from within me. If I didn't have a brain to process it, this plant could be in front of me, but it wouldn't be there for me.
Okay.
So the perceptions are actually coming from within, and whatever on the outside does not actually matter. Because it can be there, but if I'm not conscious about it, it's not there. It's not there, you know? So everything that you know actually comes from within you already.
So the whole tree that falls in the woods, you know, but you're not on to hear it, it's not affecting you. It doesn't matter because you weren't there to witness. So did it actually happen?
If it happens, you know, we wouldn't be talking about it if none of us were there. You know, it's a tree falling right now, you know, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to us.
Wow.
It exists to the person that's there, but it doesn't exist to me and you because we're not present. You have to be present for things to exist for you, you know. But that's why I'm thinking, you know, if I have to be present and nothing can be without me, actually, somehow, you know, that means I'm just projecting everything. And you are projecting everything. So we are projecting kind of the same thing, you know, from a different angle.
Okay, so that's where it circles back to reflection. So your own projection tells you even more about what you're putting out, what's within you, what's already.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
Everything we are, you know, displaying, it's something that's originating from within us. So even if, let's say like this is a whole dark hole, and just like a TV, if you don't have anything connected to it, a device or something like that, it's just a screen.
Right.
The reality is just a screen without our consciousness. Nothing is being streamed without our consciousness. You know, so it's just like a blank screen, and then we are projecting everything out. But then where is the information coming from?
Exactly.
Where's the information coming from, Jerome?
Yeah. So okay, so this blank screen, so you're like, you're an artist, you know, and I feel like you are an artist, you know, with everything that you do, with your post, with your, you know, with your positivity that you push on your platform, with your conscious content. But it seems like with your presence, with the things that you project and the ways that you connect, you're almost like painting a canvas with your consciousness.
Yes, that's why you cannot preach or teach. You just have to paint. You can't, you know. But if you paint and you put the picture there, you know, it's up to everyone to look at it and make a decision.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
the picture, even if you explain the picture, you can't explain people's perspective. You can't hit on each one's perspective, you know.
Right.
So you have to just put a display and just put it out there, and then everybody will receive it with their own consciousness.
Okay. So, okay. And that's not your responsibility.
No, it's just like this picture. This is what I projected, and I put it on a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's your time to see how you perceive this, you know. But if I tell you what the picture is about, and the picture is this, and this is, you know, my intention with the picture and what I had in mind, it may not resonate with you.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
That's my perspective.
You're right. You're right.
So if we all just painted canvases and just put here, then we can pick and choose which one that resonate with us. And I think we can put the puzzles together, right?
Yeah, you know, I agree with you because I sort of enjoy like even movie directors, people like what is the name? Jordan Peele, you know, with the movies that Jordan Peele makes like Get Out and Nope and you know and Us and these different, you know, esoteric movies that have like hidden meanings and underlining themes. Everyone has an idea or a perception on what he was going for, right?
Yeah.
Love how sometimes directors with these movies, they leave it to the audience's interpretation.
Yes, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
If they created like, you know, movies with a conscious messages, I think everybody would perceive differently, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then movies, when I'm looking at movies or any book, even when I'm reading a book, when I'm watching a movie, like when I know I'm perceiving this story from a director's perspective, another person's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I always have to know that. And then when I'm reading the book, I also have to know like is another person like me's perspective, right? So now I need to put two and two together. I can't consume the book, I can't consume the program, because if I know that it was made by someone, then I can tap into their consciousness of what they thought.
Right.
That's the only way I can accept films and books. But I can't just read and then believe like, okay, everything is this person have written. People forget about the authors. Authors are just like me and you,
Right.
you know.
Right.
Same with the directors. It's just their perspectives of things.
Wow. Wow. I love this. I love this conversation. So it's like, even with all of your posts, you know, all the lovely things that you put up for us and for yourself, I'm sure as well, you know, what someone else's relation to your own creation is left up to their own interpretation. You don't worry about that. You know, you let that part go.
Absolutely. Because it's not even my information.
Right.
You know, somehow. I'm just streaming it.
Yeah. I love that. You just stream it, you know?
I'm just streaming it, you know.
Yeah.
And I love actually how everyone relates to it. You know, how people resonate with my messages. Because in the beginning, I never thought anybody would resonate with my thoughts. My thoughts are like in full speed all the time. Like it's always like why, how, what, not, blah, blah. It's always like I'm stubborn. So now when I see like a lot of people resonating with my thoughts, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy after all. Even if I was crazy, I would just push it, you know? It doesn't matter. I'm just like that. But then other people are like, oh, you know, I can resonate with that. I know that, you know, or have felt it, or this message have been, you know, circling in my consciousness. And I believe them because we're all on the same frequency. We're receiving the same information. Like if I get to stream it first and you like, oh my God, that's what I had inside of me, you know? So I just streamed it for you. That's all.
Yeah.
You can all stream it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love this, you know? It's like the light beaming, and you're just streaming. You know, you're streaming, but the light is beaming. Yeah, you're a channel. You're a
We're
channel.
just the channels, exactly. Just the
Yeah.
channels. We use different tools and different things to, convey the different messages that's coming through, but
Mhm.
it's not ours.
Right, right. So when it comes to conveying that, Camilla,
Hmm.
have there ever been times that, someone not of the same mind might have come on your page, they're not in that frequency, but they have their own, take on what you said, and they want to verbalize it, they want to vocalize it, they want to type out something in, you know, in non-agreement, like they're arguing with you,
Hmm.
trying to debate with you. Like, how do you handle that without getting caught up in the drama?
Oh, I see, most of the times when people try to argue about my post, I look at them comment and it comes from a very like shallow perspective. It's
Okay.
like you're still on the surface because my messages are a lot deeper,
Ah,
right? So when I see the person just playing on the surface, I don't interfere with it.
okay.
I just leave it at that. I just say, "Oh, you're right," because they are, they are, because that's their level of consciousness.
Right.
They're not wrong, Yeah, but clothes. So if we don't wear clothes, for example, in front of my dad, that's a shame. But what I'm talking about is like the creation of shame. What
Yeah.
if it not was created already, But what if, the big bodies and I don't want to see this. So I know where the person is coming from,
Hmm.
you know, but they don't understand where I'm saying, like, what if we didn't create the concept of shame? What
Yeah.
if we didn't, connect the different body parts to different perspectives? Like, that is boobs or like sexual, for example.
Hmm.
Why couldn't they just be, food, for babies? You know what I'm saying? Why couldn't, the concepts are all made. So
Hmm.
when people are talking about, if they get focused on the breast or if they get focused on, the shape part of it, I know where they're coming from. So I just don't interfere with it.
Hmm. Hmm. No, that's really mature. That's really cool that you can, take the high ground. Like when they go low, you go high. You.
You have to stay up there because they can't drag you down,
Right.
and it's the same thing too. You can't force them up either.
Right.
It's a frequency, it needs to hit that frequency. So
Right.
you can help people to vibrate on a different frequency, but you can provoke that.
Hmm.
That's all you can do. You can provoke so they can, recognize it themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Very thought provoking. I love looking at that too, because we just had this conversation the other day with one of my friends, how, I could be standing right here, Camilla, and I could look down and see a big number 6. And I could swear by everything, I'm looking at a 6 right now. And you over there, you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at, but you're like, no, it's not a 6, it's a 9. You
Yeah.
know, clearly I'm looking at it, like,
Perspectives.
and we're neither one of us is wrong.
Yeah. That's everything actually. If you see anybody argue with you, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. They are on their right. You know? It doesn't mean that my right override theirs. We just have to leave it alone, you know? Because my right could be wrong as well. It
Mm.
is wrong for them, and their right is wrong for me. So there is nothing that's wrong and right, to be honest. Like you believe that, even the idea is just tiring. It's nothing that's wrong and right. Especially, a lot of people will say like, okay, this what I'm doing is right. I've heard so many times, you're not like your fruits don't have seeds. Or celery is man-made because Dr. Sebi said, I don't care about Dr. Sebi. I don't. I am me. Dr. Sebi was another human being. I
Mm.
can't take on every step that he took. It
Mm.
doesn't even make sense. I'm not Dr. Sebi. So when people say this is man-made, that's man-made, that's man-made and stuff like that, I just leave it alone nowadays.
Mm.
I would reply before like, oh, you are man-made too, but I just leave it alone nowadays. But everybody have opinion, and I've noticed that people just want to get deep. They just want to be deep.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what it is. They would just attack you the way you boiling your tea. I get a lot of messages. The cereal on top of my fridge. Like, my
What?
kid cannot have a cereal? I'm like,
They, wait, they slide in your DMs for the cereal?
oh my God. You so health conscious. Why are you giving your kid a cereal? I'm not my kid.
Mm.
You let them play a little bit in the Matrix, you know? I'm in control. It's okay. Leave me alone. But yeah, we all kind of people out there, Jerome.
Wow.
We don't
Wow.
react. React meaning just like, you know, you put yourself in their body. Now
Mm.
you acting like them. To me, that's what reaction means.
Okay. Okay.
You can
So,
react to love, you know, send them love.
yeah. So when you reside in your own body, you don't get caught up in someone else's, you know?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's like,
Lead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't have to react. You can respond, you know?
Responding, yeah. And you don't always have to respond even.
That's true.
You know, just not responding is a response kind of sometimes.
Hmm.
I leave it alone. You know, one thing I've learned was that I'm the kind of person that would think about like an hour after. I'm like, oh my God, I should have made that decision,
Mm.
you know, because I make it too quick.
Hmm.
So I've learned to digest things. You can send me a message and maybe I have a, you know, an instant reaction,
Hmm.
but I won't act on it nowadays. I will be like, let me digest. And I may even forget to respond to you.
Mm.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Yeah.
but digesting and processing information before I actually act on it have
Yes.
helped me to make the right decisions. Like, is it even worth it? No.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. Right. Like, oh man, you know, taking your time to digest, taking your time to respond. It reminds me of you put up something talking about like was it you? I'm sure it was you, Camilla. It was about the Gemini. Like if I'm your friend, if you're
Hmm.
you won't mind if I respond in 1 second or 30 days. You know, it's okay.
Hmm. That's me. That's me. You know,
Mm.
sometimes I can forget someone. Year. Talking about month.
A year?
Year.
You
I
let a
have
year
those
go
friends I
by?
call like every year, just once a
Mm,
year, you know,
mm,
and they know I'm the most consistent one. The
mm.
ones that they are daily with, they are not so consistent. They're like, Camilla, you remember my birthday every year, you know? And it's like, yes, because that's the time that I have made to talk and contact that person.
Mm.
So I have a different relationship with people, but you know, if it's a relationship that's like you have to respond instantly, you have to do this instantly, you have to do that. I can't do stuff like that.
Mm.
I just
Mm.
can't.
And just because it's not an instant response, you know, do you feel like people respect that?
I don't actually know how they perceive it, but I think it's like since I'm consistent with it, I think they can find that confident in like, okay, you know, she actually digests my messages. You know,
Mm.
she just don't respond. You know, I can see a message and I will, if I'm interested in responding to it, I will be like, okay, I will respond when I have time.
Right.
Yeah. And then
Right.
I will go back to it and then I will respond instead of like responding to you because of just to respond.
Exactly.
I will
There's
take my time.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you for showing the difference because there has been times, you know, it's funny and we're, you know, like our humanness when somebody has followed me and I
Mm-hmm.
might make a response, you know, thanking them or reaching out to them or saying, you know, hey, how did we find each other? You know, I do a friendly response to
Mm-hmm.
people. There's been a few times, Camilla, where somebody will think that it's an automated message
Yes.
because it was so quick, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, since I didn't take my time to, you know, speak my mind, they thought that I must have been a chat bot or I was a, you know, like this is a fake message that this is not real, you know? And I had to, like, actually, you know, get on the voice message and tell them, like, no, this is me. Like, this is actually me.
Yeah. 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 You see what people's mind, how people's mind works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that one too one time, but it was related to kindness.
Okay.
It was like I just asked somebody because you know I have a relationship with people that follow me,
Yeah.
and I choose the ones that I follow because of those are the information that I get on my newsfeed. I don't want to deal with all kind of informations. So even if I like you and everything, you know, I will not follow you maybe, you know, because of it, just because of the content on my newsfeed. That's why I limit my followers and my following. But I just asked this girl like, oh, how are you? Blah, 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 you know, and just to see how she was doing because of people shared their stories with me. And then she replied, is this an automated message? Because I don't need a reading or something like that.
See?
I'm like, what?
See?
I don't need readings.
You like, child?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So people actually misinterpret messages that comes out of kindness as well with you know, readings or something like that, or that you want something money from them, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that something, Camilla? So
it is.
kindness, even kindness, can be taken out of context.
Exactly. Because it's been mistreated. It's been mishandled. We mishandle everything, even words. Haven't you seen, like, you know, yesterday we were talking about the word addiction. The word addiction actually meant something good. You know, yogic, being addicted to themselves and their self-work, you know. But I'm sure Jesse told you about it maybe, but, you know, the connotation to the word addiction has been, you know, negatively charged. And it's so many different words that are also being charged the same way. So we change stuff. We change stuff. So kindness is one of the things, like, oh, why are you just being kind? Because spirituality has been mistreated in a sense that people are doing, you know, readings and taking money for, you know, different things, you know. So now every time people see my profile, they think actually I do some readings or some card stuff. I can read you, but not through a card.
Right. It's like, where did they get that idea? You know?
Yeah, but it's just because of somebody else have, you know, played with the concept. You know, so it's like yoga. Look at yoga today. It's not a normal yoga.
And maybe it's even their, you know, their perception on the word prophetess.
Yes, a lot of people come to me and say, like, you're not a prophetess. You think you're a prophet. I'm like, that's my name.
My name is my name.
That's my name, you know. I'm not your prophet. I'm not trying to be your prophetess. That's my name. Just leave it alone.
My name.
You know? Yeah, you know, I wanted to have a fake name for a reason, you know, which is Camilla. But then that became my real, and then my fake became my real became my fake. So it's just now, because I have to discuss with people about why have you chosen prophetess, right? And then my real name come into place,
right?
You know, in the conversation, and then I'm like, I'm exposing myself now. I didn't want to do that, you know. So I met other Camillas, but that's their fake name too. So it's very funny. A lot of people are using the name Camilla.
Wow. So there's Biha to me, you know.
Yeah, thank you for that. There are just few people that are keeping it, but you know, in the family, I know I'm Nabiha. So
that's, you know, that's funny. You said your fake became your real, and your real became your fake. That's
yes. They just twisted it because they think my name is attached to ego. My name is not attached to ego. When I actually called myself prophetess, it was very, very innocent. I was just looking for the meaning of my name,
right?
You know, in English, and that's how it came. You know, so it wasn't like, oh, I am something spiritual, something. You know, I'm here to give you a message. You know, that's not it. It just happened to be that I have a message for you too. You know.
Yeah. Just so happened.
It just so happened.
Yeah. You ever seen a TV show that we have? A TV show, it was called The Wire. It used to come on. The Wire?
No.
Yeah, The Wire. It was about the hoods in Baltimore, Maryland. B-more. They used to call it Bodymore because of the body. But in Baltimore, Maryland, there was a TV show called The Wire. And one of the you know, the rising head honchos, or like the gangsters in the hood who was really making moves out there, you know, who was operating in the city.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Marlo Stanfield.
Hmm.
Marlo Stanfield. And I'll never forget him because he just composed himself differently than the other, you know, the other people around the way. And he was very like to the point. He didn't beat around the bush. He didn't mince words. But when he did something, he did it with intention. You know, he did it with conviction. He did it with, you know, with substance, something behind it. It wasn't, he never did anything for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, you know, people were spreading his name and people were shaming his name and people were claiming his name and people were blaming his name and putting all sorts of stuff on his name. And he went out to like the head gangster and he did something about it. Like he went to the people who he heard this about and he corrected the situation. And when he finally like erupted with all this emotion, because he was usually a very composed individual, I remember he said, "My name is in the streets. My name is my name."
Yeah, his name is his name.
Like, you know, why did you do this? Like, what would cause you to do this? You know, like why, you know, why did you flip out like that?
Mm-hmm.
My name is my name. You know,
Yeah.
my name. Like,
You know, some people are very attached to their names.
right?
Yeah. Very unlike me, actually. I'm the completely opposite.
Mm,
I
mm,
flow with names, you know. You can call me whatever name, I'll be like, okay, yeah, you know, 3 times, and I'll respond to it, you know, because it's what you recognize me as. But I don't actually put so much in the name.
okay.
It's
Okay.
just a name.
Wow.
It's part of our story. It's like one of the first sets that was given to us. It's like the title of our story. Your
Mm-hmm.
name and your age is the title of your story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. And you know, with every day as we're writing new chapters in our story, you know, and we're kind of this is our life.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I really wanted to learn more about, and it was something just about how life is sometimes like a karmic cycle and how we can karmically empty our baskets. You remember putting that?
Yeah.
What did you mean by that, and what inspired you to put that?
Oh my goodness. I think a lot, you know. So sometimes, like, I was listening to you right now, and when you were saying, like, he always intentionally creates, right?
Mm,
Why do we unintentionally create?
mm,
Why? Like, people are just, you know, you should be intentional with what you're doing, right?
mm,
So often I think about, you know, my consciousness is full of information from I was little. You know, it's just full of information, basically. Whatever I've received through TV, through, you know, whatever, I'm full of information. So my reality is based on the content of my consciousness. So that content is a karmic content. Basically, like, you know, life, I feel like life is a karmic cycle, right?
mm.
Things are happening to us. It doesn't look like that we are happening to things here, but things are happening to us. So I feel like, can I empty my consciousness in order for me to, you know, receive more of, you know, like, if I'm like, if you're empty blank page, you can write on it, right? So I
Mhm.
can write on new information, reprogram myself, and then become something else than the content that's within me. So that's what I mean by emptying the karmic basket.
Yeah.
If that
Yes.
makes sense. I know I didn't explain it right, but that's what I meant by that. You know, I constantly try to empty my consciousness, while I see a lot of people actually add on instead of just, you know, just empty yourself, get rid of it, you know. This is a belief that you had, get rid of it, don't replace it with another belief, you know. Some people can go from this religion to this religion and from this culture to this culture, you know.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to replace everything, but we're supposed to actually release a lot. Yeah. And then let the rest come in. It's not that we putting in, but it will come in. The more space you give, the more will come in.
Oh, I love that. Ah, that is so amazing. Wow. Thank
Just
you
like
for,
what you're doing with the body, you know, just like the same way
yeah,
that we're doing with the body, we have to do it with our consciousness. How do you empty your consciousness?
you're right. You know,
How? You know, the
yeah.
brain is different from the consciousness in a sense, because the brain is a physical thing. You
Hmm.
know, you can interfere with it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your consciousness, that's something that you. That's why I say also when people comment on my post, I
Hmm.
can just see where the consciousness is. There's
Mm.
nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But I don't have time to explain so they
Mm.
can dive into different parts of their consciousness, you know? So that's why I don't respond.
So it's very important to empty, you
It,
know?
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Only
You,
when you empty can you receive. Only when you empty can you receive, you know?
that's a lesson in there, you know? And
Yeah.
reminds it, like you've heard of the philosopher who went to the Zen master?
No?
Okay. So there was a philosopher that sought out this wise Zen master. You know, supposedly there was this Zen master somewhere that was really, really had a lot of wisdom about him, you know, and through his life experience and through his travels and his knowings and understandings.
Mm-hmm.
So this philosopher, you know, with his philosopher degree and his philosopher background and his philosophy books, went over to the Zen master. And the first encounter that they had with each other, he came in, and the Zen master invited him to sit down at a table. And he shared some tea with the Zen master. And so the Zen master had his teacup, and you know, he honored the philosopher. He started pouring tea into the philosopher's cup.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, at a certain point, he was pouring the tea in the cup, and the philosopher, you know, he observed him pouring the tea in the cup, and then he observed him continue to pour the tea in the cup, and then he observed him continue to pour the tea in the cup, and he didn't stop pouring the tea. He kept pouring the tea, and then at a certain point, the tea was so full in the cup that it was overflowing. It was spilling off the sides of the cup. And
Mm.
the man said, "What are you doing? It's already full. Like no more can go in."
That's
And
like your question.
the man said, "How can I teach you? You know, if you do not first empty your cup, you know."
That's
Because
true.
yeah, he had so many concepts, so many ideas, and so
Mm-hmm.
many, you know,
You
things
can
that,
look at people as those cups, you
yeah,
know? You
right.
can. Oh, you can see people as the radio stations. I like to think of it as the radio stations too, because we are frequency receiving frequencies, you know. So if a person is not, you know, the person is radioing your laptop, you receive different information, you know, because of the connection is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you radio and and someone is TV, for example, or some other devices, I'm trying to just compare, you know, they don't go together. They don't receive the same information, you know. The radio does not display pictures, the TV does, right?
Right,
So how
right,
are you going to explain to the radio what the TV does?
right,
You can't. So you
right.
have to, when you recognize someone as a radio, you just have to let them be until they evolve to another device
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so they can receive the same information.
Wow, that is so key. So that also goes back, Camilla, to the point that you made earlier about why you don't follow so many people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because you're very conscious about the information you want to receive. So it's like if you were following like thousands and thousands of people, you'd be receiving like all of this information,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
And all nonsense. I don't need all of that. Like
Right.
I'm feeding my consciousness on a daily basis. It's just like, you know, the same way you will clean up your fridge, you have to do it on your news feeds as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the
Call it,
information you're receiving, yeah, it's the same thing.
yeah, yeah.
You just consume it differently, like with your eyes, with your ears, or whatever. You receive that information, you know. So if you choose to clean your fridge, you better clean your news feed as well, you know.
Yeah. Clean your feet. They call it feed.
Mm-hmm. Feed, it feeds you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, so I choose wisely, like what I want to eat, basically. Yeah.
Right, right. And we know in this day and age, you know, as well with social media, how you can get caught up in the algorithm. So when you talked about, you know, radio stations and TV channels and different things that we pick up on, literally somebody's feed that's sitting right next to you. You know, you could be sitting next to somebody on the bus and you're on your cell phone, they're on their cell phone, you're on your social, they're on their social, but both of you have an entirely different feed,
Mm-hmm.
both absorbing an entirely different frequency, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
entirely different information, entirely different vibration, and you're
Absolutely.
yeah.
I look at my kid's phone and I'm like, oh my God, this is what he consumed. This is what I consume.
Mm.
So it's a different information. Who you follow, what you follow, it comes on your feed all the time. So you feed that, you know, and your mentality becomes like that too.
Right.
You know, I have someone that just send me like funny stuff all the time, some messed up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I think about is like, oh my God, this person, like, have you been on Snoop Dogg's page, for example?
No, no.
Yeah. You see, if you follow Snoop Dogg, for example, you will see content that comes from all around the world, like different things, like messed up stuff. So this person always send me some, you know, things that my consciousness don't need. You know, I don't need to be entertained that like that. But if you feed your consciousness with that kind of content all the time, your life become a joke.
Mm.
Your life do become a joke, you know. So you have to have a little mixture of everything, but you know, you need to know what you are actually watching and listening to, and on social media especially.
Mm-hmm.
Choose
Mm-hmm.
wisely, pick and select, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't worry about not following it back. I really don't worry about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have that number and just let it be there. Sometimes I want to minimize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to, we have Living Simple in the comment section. Shout out to Living Simple. They said, woo, thank you, I needed this. And much love to you. Thank you for joining. Adon and Living Simple, they said, it's so draining. I have to unfollow a lot of people.
You have to.
Yeah, they said, I'm cleaning house after this live. I'm cleaning.
Mm-hmm. Please do, you know, please do. You know, look at everybody you're following, you know, and look at your feed, even like your discovery page.
Mm-hmm.
Your discovery page says a lot about you. Just look at your discovery page and then you look at it like, oh my goodness, this is what I watch. This is what I, if you see mine, you see like nature, birds and all kind of stuff, you know. But when I look at, like, I have a business accounts that I go on social media. When I look at that discovery, it's like, oh my God. And it makes sense. It's because of what the, you know, the content of the page and the people that I follow and all of that will be on your discovery page.
Right.
So look at that, and if you see, like, you know, your whole page is just twerking, then change out, you know.
The algorithm is actually alerting you, you know, it's letting you know what your focus is on.
Exactly. Even if you know, sometimes when I post, let's say like I post something about, let's say something very out of my content, cheating, something about cheating, something like that, right? If I post something like that, somebody that follows me that is interested in that content will be dragged to my story. You know, I can post about something about non-duality, and I know the person that I actually talk to about non-duality will be dragged to my post or to my story, and they normally don't watch my story. So the algorithm is actually following you and trying to get you on the different things, but it's all about what you search, you know. If you search twerk videos, you will, and I post twerk video, it will drag you.
Right.
My story. And it's so funny how it works.
Like, yeah.
Yes, it would be like, Jerome, Camila posted some twerking, that's what you like, you know, and it will take you there. It will take you there. So choose wisely. We are consuming everything, you know.
Right. And every time you consume, you know, that is a choice. Like every click is a choice. Every
click is a choice, but it becomes like an addiction. And you know, the sound, the notifications, if you can turn that thing off.
Yeah, I had to turn it off.
Turn it off. I've never had it on, never. But that sound of, you know, notifications also become an addiction. Isn't validation of something. Somebody liked my picture, somebody liked this, so it becomes some type of like addiction that you are you're addicted to it, and that's how you get validated. You know, if nobody likes your pictures, it makes you feel like sad. Oh my God, only 2 people liked it, you know? But it doesn't matter.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. So it actually shapes you.
Wow. So the sound even comes almost like the Pavlov effect. You know, you're
Mm-hmm.
responding to the sound almost unconsciously.
Mm-hmm. That's why the sound, you know, when they found out what sound to use, don't think it was just overnight.
Right.
They had to find the most addictive one that would not bother you, that would just stay there, that you will not know is there. Oh my God, my neighbor is, I hear Camilla.
Uh-oh. They all right? They all
I
right?
don't know. I don't know.
If you need to check on them, it's all good.
No, no, I see them from here. It's fine. Yeah, she's walking her
I
sister.
like that. She's like, I can see them from here.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I see them walking on my parking lot here.
What you said, Camilla, so many implications, what you just said. So many implications. So you said, you know, don't think that they didn't sit down and plan out this sound. You know, think about people in a boardroom or people in a round table, you know, people say, okay, what sound can we come up with that will be like one of the most addicting, one of the most alluring, one of the most captivating sounds that will really grab somebody's attention, move it away from whatever they were doing and put it on this device.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's
Yeah.
exactly how the decision was made.
Wow.
Same with the games, you know, the games that you're playing,
Mm.
just to come up with a sound that won't irritate you while you're sitting there for hours and hours. They will find one that stimulates you for hours and hours.
Yes. Yes. Oh
You
my
can
God.
sit there all
So,
day long.
yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Is she calling you?
Yeah, but she's walking, so what's going on?
She's like, Camilla.
You hear it, right?
Yeah.
You hear it. She's just walking, and then she just, you know, screaming out my name. Yeah. No, I feel sorry for her. But yeah.
So it was just getting juicy. So Camilla, I was just in Las Vegas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know us. We're observant. We pay attention. So I'm walking around the airport. I got some time on my hands. I'm staying there overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So Las Vegas, you know that they have slot machines and casino, you know, machines inside of the airport. Inside of
Airport too?
yeah, in the airport. Yeah.
Wow.
There's like at every terminal,
Mm-hmm.
every gate, they have tons of slot machines and people exchanging money with the winners and the losers and all sorts of stuff. And people are sitting there and they have a Starbucks at every terminal. So they're keeping up. You're going to Starbucks, you're going back on the machine, you're going to this place, you're going back on the machine, you're going to the pub, right? To the brewery, the pub, you're going back on the machine. And I watched these people interacting with the machines while they were waiting for their flight. And you're so right. They had these noises and tones coming out of the machine like ding 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 ching 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 ching.
Satisfying ones.
You know, like all these coins dropping and different things that are happening, and it's all this stimulation in this simulation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like the person, you look at the person that's sitting there playing the machine, and first of all, they don't have a smile on their face. Usually, they're just kind of like pulling the thing.
Zoned out.
Yeah, kind of like pulling it, you know, waiting, putting in more money, putting in more money. And it's like, yeah, they can sit there for hours.
That's because of that strategy was made. If it was like a frequency of those music that was like irritating you or waking you up, you would not sit there.
You'll stay asleep.
Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't play, and they wouldn't make money. You know, save all the games. You know, I wanted to make this game one time. You know, game app a long time ago. But then the music, how long I sat with the music, that made me think about it. I'm like, oh my God, you know, everybody's trapped in these games and stuff because of the music and the frequencies, you know. It's the same thing with the restaurants. It's all strategies, you know. Have you ever been to a buffet?
Mm-hmm.
They The strategy buffet is like they put a lot of salt in it, so you can drink a lot of water, so you won't eat it. You know, so it's
Makes sense. Makes sense.
all buffets are salty.
Makes
You know,
sense.
just
Yeah.
because you have to drink the water. So everything is a business and a strategy behind it. It's just different tiers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different tiers.
And
So
then
we have universal music is playing too, Jerome. That's keeping us in this illusion. We don't hear it,
yeah.
but it is here.
Yeah.
What do you think you and I are trapped in the illusion? We're
Mm.
sharp enough to get out of it. We're sharp enough to know, like, okay, this is, but why are we stuck in it?
Right.
It's because we've been stimulated in it.
Right. Right.
Everything around us is to stimulate us.
Now, I definitely find a connection with this as well. Everything that you're saying, when it comes to the levels of consumption and the windows of consumption, and how that's very stimulating. So it's so interesting and fascinating and captivating to me. And maybe I'm one of the crazy ones, like you said, I'm just crazy. But I really enjoy learning about all the different ways that they really did sit down and plan these things out. So when you talk about the levels of stimulation, I used to be very hooked on like salt and vinegar chips, Slim Jims, different forms of snacks like jerky, this jerky, that, these chips, this. And it was like these specific things on the shelves that I would pull down and just be munching without, mindlessly munching, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw this documentary, Camilla, and I saw a documentary talking about how these companies would actually bring in neurologists, these people that knew a lot about the brain, that knew a lot about the mind, and they would bring in this neurologist and put them in this lab and have them sit down, and they would have a test subject in the chair, and they would just drop a little, like some sauce or maybe something from the chip or some formula from this new creation that they wanted to put on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And they would drop it on the subject's tongue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ask the neurologist to tell them, as they examined the brain, they would see the areas that would light up, the pleasure centers that would light up, and they would make sure that they got the product just right whenever it hit the bliss point. They called it the bliss point.
Yes.
That pleasure center, whenever it would light up, they said, that's it. That's the one we want.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not blissful all the time, you're bored. Have you noticed that?
Right.
Like if you're not stimulated by something, you become bored. And no, we don't know what to do and this and that. But everything is a strategy. I'm a marketer, trust me. Even the stores, to get the kids' attention, that's why you put all the candies and stuff on the eye level, because if you put the candy all the way at the top shelf, no kid will see that. So I have to to get the kids' attention, you have to put it in their eye level.
Right.
When you go to the cashier, just look at it. What's in the cashier? It's not like, things that you will go to get from the store. But the jerk that you were talking about will probably be there, right next to the cashier. You have some sweets right next to the cashier. You have this, this toxin, energy boost, whatever that is. Everything that's toxic is right there because you can just grab it.
Yeah.
You can just grab it. Because it's the mind, they're playing with your mind. So when you go in the store, you have to know this is a game. It is a game. Even how the items are placed in different aisles and stuff, that's a game. Because it's a business, The pharmaceuticals. Why do you think every pill has another pill? Because pill doesn't work. But you need to find like whatever you're destroying, something else that's going to push it on the side, So there's different tiers.
Yeah.
Different tiers, If you think about like our language is different control, we have like a group that speak that language, right? And then we have another group that speak this language. The way you stimulate different groups is also different. So you have to study different cultures, different languages to, I don't know, but I think like the culture is a one tier, language is another tier, Religion is another tier to
Mm.
keep you in the illusion.
Okay.
And then you have the food and stuff that's keeping you
Yeah.
still in those big illusions.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
can you keep someone to be in the illusion? You have to create in their everyday life.
Right. Right.
We're trapped in that, in my opinion.
And the more you get them to consume, the less they create on their own.
Of course, because of they are clogging themselves up. Like if we are filled already, there's nothing coming in. That's why we have to empty that consciousness, because our consciousness is built on other people's programs, whatever that is, you know.
Mm.
It's not our program.
Mm.
You know, the things that you do every day is not something that you just chose to do. It's something that you were taught, something
Mm-hmm.
that you're obligated to do, something that you just have to do, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we don't have to.
So somewhere down the line, we agreed. We agreed to the program. It's almost like we assimilated something that allowed us to get with the program.
Yeah, I don't think we agreed to it, but I think we agreed to it every day, you know.
Okay.
Like it's just like I don't think I went into a contract saying, okay, let me go into this illusion somehow. But I think, like, you know, it's my responsibility to wake in the illusion, you know, because I am in it.
Yes.
You know, so it's
Yeah.
my job to wake up to it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Like Neo, you know, he woke up.
he woke up.
At the end, he realized it was all an illusion. Even the bullets that the agents, you know, Agent Smith, he's shooting bullets.
Mm-hmm.
He realized the bullets were an illusion, you know?
It
And
is.
only when he realized the illusion that it was dispelled, it got dispelled, it got destroyed.
Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing when I talk about my post about walking on water. I'm not kidding when I say we can walk on water. It's a concept in the mind that weights you down so you sink. You know, the fire is not hot, it's not burning you, it's a concept.
Yeah.
So don't you think this concept was conditioned in us?
Woo.
You know, like, oh, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. You created, like, every time, let's say like human creation, when they created this brainwave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this particular brainwave is saying like, okay, this is danger, this is danger, this is danger, this is danger.
Mm-hmm.
So it registered that is danger, 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 danger.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come out in a real reality, it is danger.
Mm-hmm.
Because you made it that way, because of this is our creation.
Mm-hmm.
We
Wow.
create things with our thoughts, you know. So hotness is created with our thought.
Wow.
Mm.
This is so powerful. You know, like what you're saying right now, I hope people are taking notes. Like I hope people are really understanding the implications, because when you talk about these things that we create, have you ever seen this show, Camilla? It's called Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I used to watch that a long time ago.
There's a character on the show, and she went by, I think, Khaleesi. I think Khaleesi was her name. And she was like the queen of dragons or the mother of dragons. But in her lineage, her family lineage had, from birth, she was raised to believe that she could walk through fire. That fire would not touch her like it did mortal men. That she was different.
Mm-hmm.
And she had this program, right? This
Mm-hmm.
idea was assimilated from birth. She was, you know, grown into this. And sure enough, there was a scene where she was trapped inside this big old hut, and they thought that they left her for dead. They burned everything inside, and she walked out.
Because it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
But it's the truth. Sometimes when I'm sun gazing, I'm like, I can go through that thing if I just wasn't trapped in the concept of that I would get burned, you know? Because it looks like a portal to me. The sun looks like a portal to me that's very open, like a mirror that's open.
Mm.
But the concept of hotness is blocking it from me. It's through, you know? It's like it's hot. So I know I will burn because of I'm conditioned in that concept.
Okay. Okay. So do our conditioning of the concept. So being a marketer and understanding the tiers, would you say that there is less for us to fear when we understand the tiers?
the fear, like we don't
Like
actually have to fear
we
anything.
fear, like when you understand the tears,
Absolutely.
you have less to fear.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The more you like, it's like realizing that Santa is not real anymore. Did you wait for presents and stuff like that? It's not, you didn't have the same concept about it, you know. So now it's easier. You accept it differently. It's not like Santa is gonna come with a present or whatever, you know. It's the same thing when you realize when the truth comes, when the truth reveals to you, you will just like get less fear. Like death is not something that we should be scared of, but the concept of being scared of this death is in us all. We all scared of it. We shouldn't. It's just the same thing as life. it's it's just a concept. Death is just a concept. There's no end to us. There's no end to an energy.
Right.
There's an end to this body, but this body has a story. So depending on whatever story and whatever you accumulated, throughout your life, that's the condition of this body. But it has nothing to do with you ending. Right. But we think we end. So that's why that when you realize like, oh, death is just a concept of fear, and fear is not real, you get less, right? So it's just understanding, this whole thing. The whole thing is like based on concepts. Yeah. I'm so tired of it. You would even want to get out of one concept and use another concept,
Yes. Yeah.
It's a mind,
Yeah, it's like one concept can be a catalyst or a catapult to launch you to another concept. Yeah.
Exactly. Everything is, hot, cold, negative, positive. We want to be happy all the time. But what is that? What is happiness all the time? It's a mindset, right? But we think, material and things will make us happy, will make us feel this way and that way, So we are trapped in the illusion. That's for sure.
Okay.
So everything is a mindset.
Yeah. So the trick, I guess, with the balance, understand the concept, but don't be contained in the concept.
Exactly. Like if you understand, for example, negative and positive, if you understand those two concepts, you will know that one cannot exist without the other. So you wouldn't be pushing one aside and be like, oh, I just want to be positive. How can you be positive? How is positive when you have never experienced negative? It doesn't make sense, So lightness was the same with the darkness. Oh, my battery died. Same thing, it's all concepts, and we live in a dual world. We are designed to separate everything, but the trick is actually to balance them. To understand both. Whether you call it good or bad. Understand and then find your common ground on that. Because you will never go anywhere if you just choose one. It doesn't work like that.
Wow.
Even the feminine and the masculine within us needs to be balanced. When we are out of alignment, for example, because of you are in a male body right now, and maybe your masculine energy is more dominating, you may act on the masculine, right? And neglect the feminine energy part of yourself. But if you balance it, that's when you are your full potential, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be more feminine or anything like that. You are naturally more masculine, but you have the feminine within you. Even like scientifically, when they say like when you have a baby in your womb, they have the X and the Y. That's the feminine and the masculine.
Right.
You see? So it's a balance within us. Everything needs that balance. So if we didn't have both feminine and masculine, we wouldn't be who we are.
Right.
I wonder if it was just the masculine or just the feminine, what that would look like. That would be very weird.
Yeah, if you can imagine. And you just gave me this one thing. Lastly, this will be the last thing that I put out here, because I know there's just so much. We could just keep going. But I think you'll enjoy this. And it was, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Uh-oh. Okay. So what you reminded me of, the contrast and finding balance. What came to my mind when you said that, Camilla, was a poem. It was called Only in My Pain. And it's a short poem, but let me remember this. It said, only in my pain did I find my will. Only in my chaos did I learn to be still. Only in my fear did I find my might. Only in my darkness did I see my light.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
And you put that quote up because you talked about how you had to go through the darkness.
You have to go through the darkness. Like, let's say, like, you in a tunnel. The reason why they say, like, there's a light on the other side of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in order for you to get to that light, you have to go through the tunnel.
Right.
You know, and it's dark, you know, but it doesn't mean, you know, if it wasn't, if the tunnel wasn't dark, it wouldn't be a light on the other side. Right. You know, it would just be a light through the whole thing, you know, right. It wouldn't be something else. So you can know lightness when you don't know the darkness. It's impossible. It's impossible, you know, and it's nothing wrong with the darkness because, you know, in this world, we really value the things that we think are good, you know, the positive and the lightness and whatnot. But what creates you and what shapes you is the opposite. The darkness is what shapes you and takes you to the lightness, you know. Right. So you have to embrace the darkness actually and know, like, okay, that's when you need yourself, you know. And we just think like, oh, the lightness is what it is. But it's actually the darkness, the tough times and suffering that you're going through is what's shaping you and wants you to get out of it into the light. Yeah. But if you didn't experience that, you would never see the side of light.
Oh!
It's like the seed, you know. If I plant a seed right now in the soil right there, it needs to go in that dark.
Yeah.
If I never plant it and I put it on the ground right there and it could be in the light there, it would never bloom. It would never bloom. It needs that soul, it needs that darkness in order for it to see the sunlight.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. That hit me so hard when you said that. You know, it is, oh, every time you speak, Camilla, it's like you bring up so much for me. So I don't know if you've ever seen this. It was called The Dark Knight Rises. You've seen The Dark Knight Rises?
I'm bad when it comes to names and movies.
So, The Dark Knight Rises, it was the last Christopher Nolan film with Batman. So it was the third one. And it was him fighting Bane. And Bane actually enlightened Batman. You could say he gave him a form of enlightenment, even when he severed his spine, when he broke his back. But when he was in the dark, right? Because, Batman, he's like, you know, in the shadows, fighting for the light, you know, fighting for good. But, you know, he's a vigilante, so he's getting his hands dirty, doing what needs to be done. You know, I'm Batman. And so Bane, when he was fighting Bane, you know, he's fighting him like he's some other henchman, like some regular guy. But Bane actually came from the darkness. So Batman's trying to use his gadgets and use his tricks and throw his batarang and put down his smoke pellet and try to, you know, trick Bane. But Bane is not having any of that. You know, he's like theatricality and deception, you know, tools of the, you know, of the ninjutsu way, but they're only deceptive to the uninitiated, you know, tools to the uninitiated. And he said, you merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it. So he told Batman, like, you merely adopted the darkness. Like, I was born in it. Like, I know what it's like. I came from the dark.
That's powerful.
You know, let me show you. Let me bring you into my world and show you from this perspective how things could look like, you know, from the dark. So I just love the dynamic between them, and it showed, you know, the different concepts.
It is the truth, though. You know, sometimes I used to think sometimes when I hear some celebrities, you know, sing or whatever, and they talk about the concept that they haven't experienced, you know, some dark stuff that they haven't experienced. When I'm like, oh my goodness, you haven't even been there. You know, how can you talk about you haven't been there, you know? So I can see that, you know, when some people have been there, the way they talk about it is different.
Yes.
It's a lesson. You don't even talk about it. It's just a lesson. You become different, you know? But then you have the ones that talk about it. But there's nothing wrong with darkness. There's nothing wrong with sadness. You need to cry sometimes. You need to find, you know, days that you feel like, what's the meaning with this whole thing? You know, you would have empty days. You would have like days where you were blissful. You know, it's all okay. You know, we need to just find that little common ground and feel like, okay, why am I crying today? Why am I feeling this way today? You know, turn your gaze inward and then try to figure out, you know. But the concept that crying is a bad thing or feeling down is a bad thing, that's not it. It's just taking you to a different level, you know. If you feel something, you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there, you know.
Wow.
So,
Camila, thank you for this. Thank you for coming on today. Just thank you for your fresh perspective for today's collective. We need this, you know, and I received this and just thank you.
likewise, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love our conversations.
The love, you know, so many people have been dropping love throughout this whole conversation. So, you know, thank y'all for coming on here. This was our second. Yeah.
Yes, this was our second, yeah.
Awesome. You know, and it
We
just
continue
flowed.
Yeah, we continue next Tuesday. By the way, I wanted to show you I got
Okay.
flutes. But I don't think I'm the problem. I think it's the problem. It's
Uh-oh.
pretty.
Oh, snap. Yo, look at that. How beautiful.
Yeah, but it doesn't play beautiful.
Yo, you don't go halfway, you go all the way.
This is pretty. I was like, no, Jerome, he go on Sun Gates and play. Let me play. It's not playing though. It's carved wrong, so I need to turn it back.
Well, it looks like is there a piece that goes in the top? Is that one of those? No, the other side. Yeah, that side. The top. The top. No, not that side, the other side. Sorry.
This side.
Yeah, is there a piece that goes in it, or is that how it's supposed to look?
It's supposed to look like that. It didn't
So
come with anything else.
there's no piece that's supposed to lodge inside? Okay. Interesting.
Nothing.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
because I know some of the Native American flutes, they just have like this added little piece that plugs up the hole and produces a different note or a different sound.
Oh, I'll look into that. Because this one is not playing right. I don't even want to play it. I don't know how to play flute, but it's just making some sounds that
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not gonna play it. But yeah, I wanted to show you that.
Thanks for showing
I've got
us
one.
that, you know, because that's what hooked me to mine. You know, the shakuhachi, it grabbed me forevermore because I couldn't play it. You know, I thought it was broken.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a whole day, it was just the breath. A whole day, you know. But when I find that one note, I felt like I had beat all the levels in Super Mario Brothers. You know, it was like,
Wow.
you know, it was like the whole world opened up to me.
I love that.
You know,
I love that. I love that.
just a game. It was another game I learned how to play.
Yeah, it's all about whatever that keeps you back to your breath. You know.
Right.
Yeah. Now I love that you play flute. Maybe next Tuesday we can play.
Yeah.
Not me, you.
Oh, both of us, we gonna have a jam session?
I can bring my singing bowl, but not this one. You can do the flute, okay?
Okay. Deal.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love you guys, and see you next Tuesday.
All right. Much love.
All right. Bye.